Bienvenidos, Ushamdi, and welcome CTS-131, Section 875 students for the Spring 2018 semester at Anne Arundel Community College. This is the Routing and Switching Essentials version 6 course from Cisco Networking Academy, or the Anne Arundel Community College Networking 2 course. And this afternoon's video tutorial and solution set is going to be on Packet Tracer Activity 7.2.3.3, where we're going to take a look at configuring ACLs. But instead of applying them to layer 3 interfaces, we're going to be applying them to the virtual terminal lines. In other words, we're going to be controlling who is allowed to either Telnet or SSH, in other words, remotely connect to a device. So let's go ahead and dive in here. And we've got a very straightforward, very simple topology that we're dealing with. We've got our PC here to the left and our laptop to the right. We've got our layer 2 switch, and I'm stressing that, right? Because the ACL is not going to get placed here, right? We're going to be placing it on the router, but instead of putting it on a physical interface on the router, it's going to be going on a virtual interface, the VTY lines. So everything is configured from an IP perspective. We're jumping right in here to the ACL. So verify Telnet access before the ACL is configured. So both computers, the PC and the laptop, I should be able to say Telnet to 10.0.0.254. And I did not see the password. Let me take a look here real quick. Or the username. And Cisco. Okay. So password Cisco. So there you go. We're logged in. We can get there from the PC. Let's try the laptop now. Come to the desktop, the command prompt, and say Telnet 10.0.0.254. Cisco, and we're in. All right, so we've confirmed that we can remotely connect, albeit via Telnet, right, which is not optimal. We would want to use SSH. However, the activity has us using Telnet, and that's fine. It's fine for the activity. So we're going to configure a numbered standard ACL. So technically, how many ways can I create the numbered standard ACL? Yeah, there's 2 ways I could do this, but we're going to do it the way that they demonstrate because that's typically the way that it gets done. So we're in user exec mode as evidenced by the greater than sign. I'm going to use the enable command to transition into privilege exec. From here, I need to get into global config, which is going to be configured terminal. And you can see that we're now in global config mode. So for a standard numbered ACL, I simply say access list, and then I put the number that we're going to be using. They're going to be using 99, so we're using 99. And what is my requirement here? So the requirement is that the PC, the ACL is going to allow the PC to connect via the Telnet lines, but deny all other source IP addresses. Remember, standard ACLs, whether named or numbered, are all about filtering packets at layer 3 based on the source address in the IPv4 header, right? Okay, so we're going to say permit host. Now, there's 2 ways I could have created this. I could have said IP access list standard 99 and then hit return and gone into the named configuration mode, even though it's a numbered ACL, and added the entries in. This is the traditional way to do it, and this is probably how you're going to attack this problem here. Now, there's 2 ways for me to specify the host, right? Remember, when we're saying a specific host, we're saying that the IP address must match exactly what the host's IP is. In other words, all 32 bits in the address have to match exactly. So I can use this little keyword here, right? Kind of like a shortcut. I could say host, and then I can put the IP, 10.0.0.1. And that's certainly one way to do it. I could also say access list 99 permit 10.0.0.1, 0.0.0.0. That is the exact same access control entry. It accomplishes the exact same thing. However, it is much more common to use the host, right? Because then I don't have to type in 0.0.0.0.0, right? There's a lot of opportunity for error there. So that's why we don't usually do that. If it's going to be a host, we simply say host and then give the host IP. Okay, so that is our... Okay, I'm just taking a look here, reading the directions. Yeah, so that is it for the numbered standard ACL. You can see it gave us, and this is out of 111 points, so that's kind of funny. So it's out of 111 points, so we'll see what shakes out here at the end. Now, another quick note. So we created this standard numbered ACL that has a single access control entry. What is the last implicit entry in this ACL? Yeah, it's literally access list 99, deny any. That is what we have at the end of the ACL. Now, we're never going to see that. If I was to say, do show access list, are we going to see a deny any statement at the end? We're not. Remember, it's implicit. It's implied that it is there. So in other words, if you do not explicitly allow connectivity, it will implicitly be blocked, which is why I don't have to put a deny statement at the end. I certainly could, right? And in some cases, you may want to. And let's talk about that for a second. So maybe you want to keep an eye on the attempts that are being made and denied for Telnet connectivity. Maybe that's something you want to watch. So if that's the case, then you might turn the deny statement on, right? And we'll take a look at the differences once we max the points out here, and I'll tweak this ACL. All right, so just like, so when we have an ACL, right, we've got a standard numbered ACL here between number 1 and 99, and we've chosen the last possible number here, 99. When we're applying it for transit traffic, in other words, traffic that is transiting the router, entering the router on one interface and exiting the router on another interface. That's the definition of transit traffic. When we're applying an ACL to deal with transit traffic, the ACL would get applied to an interface. This is traffic that is destined to terminate at the router, right? This is management plane traffic. In other words, Telnet, SSH, ping. And in this case, this management plane traffic is going to be Telnet traffic. So when we Telnet or try to remotely connect to a device, we connect to what they call virtual terminal lines. So think of it as virtual ports that we can connect to with Telnet or with SSH. And they're all handled via software. And so you can see here that instead of going to interface gig 00, right, and that's not even an interface, so what do we have? Interface fast Ethernet 00, and then saying IP access group, right? We're not doing it on a physical interface because it's not going to deal with transit traffic. We're dealing with management plane traffic here, specifically, Telnet. So I'm going to say line VTY 0 to 15, and what are we doing here? They've got, okay. Now, and this also causes a little confusion, right? So I don't say, when we apply the ACL to the virtual terminal lines, I don't say IP access group, right? They differentiated the commands. Here I say access class, and then it's either the name or the number. So even when we're, I'm going to leave that topic for a later discussion when we're talking about named ACLs. So all I have to say is access class 99, and since it's coming into the router, right? This is an inbound Telnet or an inbound SSH session. We do it in the inbound direction. And we got all 111 points there. So let me go back and touch on something real briefly here. In fact, before we do that, I will wrap this up by saying do show access list, because I want to make sure we validate here. There's our ACL. If I was to say, let's see here. Yeah, it's not going to show me. Well, let's do this. Let's generate some traffic. So now we're going to come back over here. I'm going to telnet from the PC, and it works, and I'm in. I'm going to come to the laptop, who is not allowed, and I get a connection refused by the remote host. So this is working. But back to the router. When I say do show access list, you can see that I can look at this and say, hey, fantastic. I see that I've got 2 successful connections have been, or 2 matches have been made, right? And we had that successful connection. So this is absolutely fantastic. But what am I not seeing? Yeah, from a security perspective, I'm not seeing if somebody is trying to connect and not succeeding. If, in other words, being denied. So here is where I can fix that. Now, I'm going to exit out here and get back to global config. And it's here, if I wanted to modify the standard numbered ACL, I would say IP access list, standard 99. And you can see it puts me in the standard named access control list sub-configuration mode here. And all I would need to do is, and let me do a question mark to show you, it's going to be the access control entry sequence number. So I'll just throw something huge up here like 9999, and I'll say deny any, and if I do a question mark, that's it, right? So there are instances when you do want to specifically explicitly put that in there, not let it implicitly happen, but explicitly put it in there. And here is why. If I say show access list now, we're going to see that we have this access control entry way down here. But more importantly, when I see this connection refused, if I come to the router and I now take a look at what's happened, I'm seeing that somebody is trying to connect to the virtual terminal lines and being denied, right? So then I would have to do a little more digging and try to figure that out. But again, that's one instance where you would want to have that in there. Now you can see that we dropped, 70 points right there, and that's okay because we had it working. But I wanted to make sure I stress this, that even though there's an implicit deny any at the end, there are use cases for when you want to explicitly put a deny any at the end and capture to see, hey, is somebody trying to connect and being denied? Because if that number right there goes from 15 on one day to 200,000, then you've got a problem on your network. Something is up, right? So, and then you want to investigate further. All right, well, that's it. I mean, that was pretty straightforward, right? That's how we apply an ACL to the virtual terminal lines. And that is going to wrap up Packet Tracer Activity 7.2.3.3, where we talked about configuring ACLs, standard numbered ACLs on VTY lines. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will talk with you soon.